waived DeWanna Bonner. I gotta say, I'm very, very surprised at the decision to simply waive her, but I guess because she had an unprotected contract, and that protects them and allows them to cut her. So they have waived DeWanna Bonner. And guess what? Ari McDonald is back in the picture. They have re-signed the speed racer, pesky point guard who was doing so much in those 4 or 5 games that she played for the Indiana Fever while Caitlin Clark was out on the mend.
Something major is happening in Indiana, and it goes far beyond simple locker room conflict. Coach Stephanie White's most recent press conference dropped bombshells, first revealing a startling update on Caitlin Clark's ongoing health problems, then the shocking decision to sever ties with Dana Bonner. What began as whispers has now descended into full-scale chaos, and with tempers erupting behind closed doors, it's obvious that this isn't a rebuild, but rather a meltdown, with Indiana's future hanging by a thread.
Steph, did you have any parting message for DeWanna or anything? Like they coached her before the season, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, obviously we're disappointed that things didn't work out. I love DB. I mean, DB is somebody that I have so much respect for. She's a Hall of Famer. And while I'm disappointed, I always, first and foremost, want her to be happy. And so I'm thankful for the time that we've had, and certainly, want her to be happy and wish her the best, and turning right now our focus to our team and what we can do to continue.
Now, the hottest rumor is that Dana Bonner left the Indiana Fever due to Caitlin Clark. That's the genuine reason we're using, so please take a microphone. Blaming a 22-year-old rookie for your departure seems like the setup for a stand-up special. It would be like leaving a book group early because someone brought the incorrect snacks. If Caitlin Clark's mere appearance frightened Bonner that much, it's not just flimsy, it's downright ridiculous. Perhaps the problem isn't the rookie, but rather the veteran who couldn't manage a slight change in attention, call it deflection in sneakers.
That Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does, and even in her pre-game routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games.
It doesn't make sense, and it certainly doesn't make her feel sorry for her. Bonner didn't simply walk away. Rather, she disappeared as quickly as if someone had sounded the fire alarm on her Pride Olympic. You would think nobody is prepared to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark's entrance into the locker room, where she was blasting diss tracks and hurling shade, had nothing to do with the fact that she didn't bench Bonner Clark or waive her. Instead, she was too busy running the franchise to be held accountable for someone else's collapse of self-esteem.
Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury. Caitlin Clark will be missing tonight's game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. The venue will be open. Out with a left groin injury. We go from a quad to a quad to a groin.
Let's cut the melodrama. Caitlin Clark was too busy recovering from her injury and negotiating the constant attention that follows her like paparazzi pursuing royalty to write plays, adjust the lineup, or grant locker room privileges. Dana Bonner pulled out one of the most ridiculous and archetypal displays of a veteran's breakdown we've seen in years, and it wasn't some great clash of generations or Hamlet with a basketball. A deliberate pout in a walkout, a primetime pout fest.
Groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back to back, a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So we'll see. Something.
If you like it, please subscribe to our channel and give a like. A very obviously produced theatrical exit that it could have been sold in the glass. What Bonner did wasn't bravery. It was the basketball equivalent of abandoning a group project because she didn't like the person in charge. Now, we're supposed to think she left for some admirable reason, but she just quit plain and simple. When the spotlight began to shift away from her, she slipped out because she didn't want it to shift even slightly to someone else. At Target walking away from a team mid-transition and expecting applause or sympathy isn't leadership. That's stunt work, it's narcissism, and let's face it, the true problem, she leaves a mark that will last for years after her shooting percentage and highlights are forgotten. Instead, people will remember that she abandoned her team when they needed her the most. That is her legacy now, the player who abandoned a franchise in crisis, and that label is permanent. Cowardice not showing up when things get tough isn't a sign of veteran wisdom. Rather, it's a sign of someone who's afraid of the heat.
This just occurred to me. Caitlin Clark clearly not looking like herself. The Indiana Fever has the game put away, yet we still put her back in the game at 45 seconds left. Caitlin Clark dealing with an injury, not looking like herself. The game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlin Clark might be going through something, salute to you.
But hey, she made room, and sometimes the loudest addition is subtraction. If you want to leave like a pro, don't let the logo distract you, because in Bonner's place, the Fever just landed McDonald, that's right, a Ricky flavor with no guilt, a guard with speed, grit, and the ability to actually show up, a player who doesn't run when the locker room volume goes up. Ari McDonald didn't come to Indiana to drink tea and watch drama play out. She came to run the hustle, grind, and make defenders wish they hadn't laced up. She has quick hands, a sharper edge, and no time for diva exits disguised as career moves. This isn't a soap opera to her. It's a sprint, and she's halfway down the court before Bonner even finished writing her farewell tweet. Naturally, Bonner fans are crying into vintage WNBA jerseys, whispering something about how she deserved better. Oh, please, deserved what? A permanent do not disturb sign and a personal security detail to shield her from the rising stardom of a 22-year-old rookie. The notion that Caitlin Clark was the antagonist in this case is as logical as attributing your damaged umbrella on the weatherman. It's illusion, denial, and evasion, present wrapped in sentimentality.
I did not suspect DeWanna Bonner would be returning to the Indiana Fever. She has been out now for 6 games away from the team for only personal reasons, and the team was being really tight-lipped about it. They weren't giving any more information. But the whole thing, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of fans, is that there was something else going on. This didn't seem like something where there was maybe something going on with her family. It didn't seem like she was sick or injured. She just simply stepped away from the team, and nobody really knew why.
And we must not overlook this instance of beautiful irony. This isn't a one-woman show, and if it ever was, the curtain dropped hard. Sure, Clark is on the bench, but don't let the crutches fool you. She's still the future, she's still the engine, and despite what some revisionists are saying, her success doesn't require anyone else to disappear. Bonner, once a symbol of dependability, changed overnight into a walking contradiction. The same player who advocated team unity abruptly vanished when the roster became real, became inconvenient, and demanded her own theater. Bonner couldn't stand someone else shining brighter, so Clark didn't push her out, and she stumbled over her own pride on the way out.
Look, there's so many things that go into And I'm talking about being happy personally. Like, I want her to be happy personally. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. You know, it's a different group. While system might still be very similar, it's a different group, and you know, things are happening quickly, and being able to mesh. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I think we've seen that in sports for a long.
What's really shocking is how predictable the whole situation became. You would think that someone with Bonner's track record would leave with class, perhaps with a heartfelt thank you, a handshake, or even a respectful farewell montage set to soft piano music. Instead, she hit the eject button like a player quitting in the third quarter of an NBA 2K game. There was no grace, only gracelessness, and it played out like a soap opera villain storming off set because their evil plan didn't get enough screen time. The irony is that fans aren't even sad about her departure. Instead, they're barely paying attention, which is more results. Bonner's PR team is frantically trying to turn this disaster into something noble, while the Fever are occupied with honing their tactics and fostering camaraderie. The true labor of a championship-caliber team. Caitlin Clark is undoubtedly giggling to herself because, once again, the world is attempting to paint her, the antagonist, in someone else's tale.
Alright, so as y'all can see, man, the Indiana Fever ended up announcing the status report for tonight's game versus Los Angeles. Caitlin Clark out left groin. Oh, man. Look, that groin is nothing to play with, man. If y'all didn't see how Anthony Davis was taken out this season, well, I guess last season, or whatever the case may be, it just appears out of nowhere, all right? The groin is nothing to play with, man. And, you know, it kind of explains a little bit more why her shot's been off. We can see that she's not 100%. Of course, with the sniffing and, you know, look like she's out of breath at times. Those things where it just kind of look a little off, right? It don't look like Caitlin Clark.
Unfortunately, the film has already failed, which is good for the Fever. Let's be clear about that. If we're being completely honest, Dana Bonner's departure isn't a tragedy. Rather, it's a liberation. It was long overdue. She's had a nice run. A long one, yes, but even sequels lose their logic after the fifth one. It's time for Dana to retire. Find a comfortable chair, put your feet up, and let the new era begin without dragging your emotional baggage through the locker room like a wheelless suitcase at the airport, because, at this point, that's exactly what it had become: clunky, loud, and constantly in the way. The tension and the posturing of "I'm too veteran for this energy" poof have gone, and they can now concentrate on creating something genuine rather than just supporting a plot line that has been running on fumes. Well, where Caitlin Clark is hurt right now. Perhaps she is, perhaps she is not, perhaps she is recovering, or perhaps she is just relaxing.
So lads, Caitlin Clark is out injured right now, and it appears that we know, well, she's out injured with a groin injury, and it appears there is footage of how it happened. And this one's on the coach. This one seems to be on the coach, but at the end of the day, I do think when it comes to this that it's not like there was nothing beforehand. It's not like she was 100% healthy, because she seems to have been injured for a while.
But why is it that only those who sign the paychecks are permitted to speak on it? Would it be so difficult for Caitlin to simply give the fans a quick update in a post-game tweet that doesn't sound like it was written by a lawyer on decaf? The girls have a phone, a voice, and more followers than some small countries, so she could explain everything in less than 10 seconds between Gatorade sips. But instead, we get the standard official team statement, and all of a sudden everyone is nodding along like bobbleheads at a merchandise convention. Let's face it, if Beyonce were to cancel a show and simply say, "Not feeling it," everyone would go crazy. But when it's a top-tier WNBA rookie sitting out with mysterious injuries, everyone becomes a medical privacy advocate. If you enjoyed liking and subscribing, more videos are displayed.